Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Biggening Corporation. This is our 31st episode today, and we are going to try to swing around to doing a little bit of tidy up on the sales and purchase side. Right now we have a logistics bot who's receiving purchase orders as much as they can up to the warehouse, up to the location capacity. But once those purchase orders have been received in, there is nothing that is currently doing to invoice them. That's not terribly complicated. And we need to take a look at the sales order workflow, because I believe now we're theoretically creating sales orders, but we haven't tested that. And we also need to check the workflow of, are the sales orders getting shipped? And if they are they getting posted? And I'm almost certain they're not getting posted. So, taking a look at things, we can see we have a huge array of released purchase orders, and that is a sign that all of these have been received and not posted. So we need to fix that. That's going to be relatively easy, although it'll probably take the system a few minutes to post all of those. And let's see if we're creating any sales orders. Yeah, there we are. Alright. Possibly too many. I'm impressed that theoretically the bots have been able to sell this many, but we'll take a look at why that might be. However, I can see just with a quick glance that they are all status open, so I am suspecting that our logistics bots are doing nothing about shipping. So, we definitely gotta fix that. Alright, so we're gonna spend, as we will for a large chunk of probably quite a while, we will spend a lot of time in the bots, because after all, that is what we're building, is a really weakly conceived AI for doing business operations. So let's start with the simple one. We're just going to look at the procedure for we've got a function call in here for posting a purchase order. Nice and simple. We don't want to receive, because that is what our logistics bot is doing, which if we go look at our handle receipt, it is calling a post purchase, so we already handle that, and that is handled with a receive true, invoice false. So in our purchase bot, we definitely don't want to do the receive call, false. And now we actually need something to call that function, because if we look, I believe, yep, we are a zero reference, because once upon a time we didn't have logistics bots. So okay, so my inclination is just the first bot that runs on any given day, we will find what orders need posting and we will post them. As simple as that. And we will handle that within the on-run call, and we will take care of that at the end of the operation. Yeah. Alright, easy enough. So, what we need to do is we need to perch header reset, because we already have that as a variable in here, and what we will want to do is we will still want our order filter. That makes perfect good sense. We're only doing purchase orders at this time. I'm okay with having the bot assigned to the job. Actually purchasing side, when it comes to the invoice posting, this is just sort of busy work for how we're doing things. I'm fine with a purchasing bot for one vendor posting the invoices for another. That is perfectly acceptable. So we're not going to do a buy from vendor number filter, but we are going to take a quick look, and we're going to change this to a set filter of everything through, and as we've done a few times before, even recently, everything through, tooltip on that is wild. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Everything up through yesterday, and that is status of released. Anything that has been released, we will give it a try to post it. So if purchase header dot find set, and we are true on this one, rare. I am still typing out things that I should be letting the snippet help me with. Yep. Okay, so there we go. Oh, okay, it just takes a purchase order number. Alright. Doesn't take the purchase header itself. A little inefficient, because then down here it's now going to be doing a separate get call when we've already got it, but that's okay, we'll let it go for now. Alright, that's as easy as that comes. Now we're theoretically going to have our bots on the purchasing side tidy up themselves and do a giant post of all of the pending purchase orders. So when this ticks along in the background for our next part, which I'm going to go refresh and make sure the job queue doesn't break, because that's always a good idea. Just making sure that it had a moment or so. Good. Okay, and now we'll go check our job queue. And as usual, aired out while we were publishing. That happens. That's okay. No stress. Now, the next time this runs, yeah, it's gonna take a while, because now theoretically it's trying to Oh, okay. This is blowing up from something power related. We ran into it once yesterday, and I admit I had assumed that it was something that I had done as a person, so it apparently is not. Let's do power posting. In our previous episode, we had created a bunch of GenJournal lines and tried to post them. This should be deleting all and getting everything nice and clear. But I guess it's not, so okay. Yeah, fine. Let's see, GenJournal, set range on our journal template to general, and our GenJournal set range on our journal batch, which again I am hard coding right now because it's just speed and efficiency here, and GenJournal dot delete all. Yep. There we go. So that way at the beginning of this routine it will theoretically clear everything out that hasn't been posted. Boop. Okay, and we'll set that to ready. And hopefully that little power code unit won't trip this time, because the purchasing bots have got a lot to do. Try to invoke code unit to... Oh, I guess the publish is still going through. Okay, once I see that this is in process and sitting there for a few seconds, we're going to go dive into our friendly little logistics bot and go check out what's the situation on the shipping side, because I suspect we wrote all of the receiving logic, but we did not write the shipping logic for that little bot. So, yeah, we'll let that kind of toddle along in the background here, and go to our inventory basic. So if we look, we had left ourselves some notes here of we are looking for prior to workday shipments with no code. And I love git lens. We can see that 2 weeks ago during episode 21 we wrote this little chunk of code. That's just so delightful. Apparently if I wanted to go check my thinking, I could jump back to episode 21. But we can see here then, theoretically, we are doing backlogged shipments first, then we will do backlog receipts, then we will do current shipments, and then current receipts. And otherwise, the functionality on this is very purchase specific. We did not do any functionality around the sale side. However, the code is going to be extremely similar as usual. Anytime we do things, it's pretty mirrored. So we have a little check on the purchase header of has any outstanding, just to look through the lines real quick and get a quick glimpse at whether or not there's any outstanding quantity, whether we should handle it, and then we have a handle receipt function and a post purchase. For clarity's sake, I'm going to also rename this to post receipt, because that's more accurate to what we're doing. And hooray for F2 to symbol rename. We don't have to worry about the references on that. And we've referenced it twice here in the code to handle the receipt. So that makes perfectly good sense. Okay, then what we need is we need a has outstanding, which we're going to update this to perch has outstanding, so we can have a sales one that matches it. And we are going to just copy and paste it, because functionally this code is going to be pretty darn similar, but so we are going to want, when you do find replace between sales and purchase, a lot of times people abbreviate perch. If you do a find replace on perch first, not purchase first, you will end up with what I had in a couple episodes ago where I had sale ace. So yeah, whoop, there goes that. And now we can do perch. Whoop. Okay. And we'll take a quick look through the code here. And this, we know handle receipt is going to be handle shipment. And we know that we are going to be calling post shipment. And we know this is going to be going through sales order lines, and we know that this is going to be going through quantity to ship, not quantity to receive. Okay, that's not worth fighting with. So, and then here, same thing, post receipt, post shipment. Yep, great. And then we have down here the actual function, which I'm doing the rename in Notepad rather than Visual Studio Code, so that I don't accidentally goof up and change references in my existing purchase code, because that would be a bummer. That would definitely be a bummer. Cool. Now we'll bring this all back into our Visual Studio Code environment here and see if that works correctly. Now sales post doesn't need a punctuation on that, and that was our only error. Okay, bananas. A quick little save to tidy up the formatting, and away we go. Now we can do a similar sort of copy paste situation on the prior to work date receipts. where we simply do purchase to sales and replace all, and same for perch, replace all, and receipt becomes shipment, replace all. Whoop. And no compile errors. Neat. Alright, so we will grab the current work date and do the same real simple changeover on this. And we take purchase, we go to sales, we do a replace all on you, we do perch to sales, replace all, and last but not least, receipt to shipment. Cool. Alright, well, that was a speed run on making our logistics bot also start to ship. Okay. Alright. I feel like that can't possibly be that easy. I don't trust it. Nicely enough, our job queue has not errored out in the background, so that's always good. It probably ran a little longer than usual. Let's find out for one of these runs. Maybe not. No duration on that. Let's double check on our purchase bot. We have a bunch of calls in here that say exit the function. We just bail out in a bunch of situations, which means that this posting code does not get called. And odds are good all of those if conditional situations are happening. So let's move it up to the first thing. Received POs. And I guess we'll publish it again. Yep. Okay, perfect. And that is currently chugging along, publishing. I can tell because it's still thinking. There we go. Okay, mostly just checking to see that the job queue entry doesn't switch to error status there. Okay, because that would be a very likely thing to have happen. I hate how that's buried. It didn't make any difference. It bumped up to 19 automatically. Okay. That's fine. Okay, so the heartbeat listener is listening for heartbeat, but that won't tick anyways until we tick the game day. So. Alright. Now, at the moment, if we go look at our purchase receipts, this is our posted purchase receipts. We can see here are all of the postings that have happened. And that's one of the things I look forward to the most about having this system fully up and running and doing everything it's supposed to be doing, is that we will have just this massive pile of data at the end of a season that people can use to take a look at what actually happens when those documents get posted. What does it do? And I think that's pretty neat. Now, out of curiosity, on the sales shipment side, do we have any that posted? I'm guessing that this was me manually posting one, because that posting date is from a while back. Oh, we have an in process. Now that probably is going to take a little while, because the purchasing bots are trying their darndest to... They should be posting like crazy. I'm still seeing a ton of released. So something is amiss with these purchasing bots. Something is not quite right. Do we have some errors in our log from today? Unfortunately, one of the things I'm not always savvy to is what game date are we on. We are on February 3rd. Okay, the purchasing bots are running into errors because of the capacity issues. Those are player errors. Oh, you know what? Perfectly sensible thing. We are calling this code unit via the dispatcher bot and listening for any errors that get thrown. When we throw an error, such as the capacity is over and all that sort of stuff, guess what happens? We are using the standard error functionality, even though we're trapping the result. The whole transaction is rolled back. So we need to commit this change because theoretically, I bet you the bot went ahead and posted all of these purchase orders, and then all the postings got rolled back. So my transaction log is probably getting to be a nightmare in the background. Okay. Tick, 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 tick. Makes sense. At least so far, most of the errors that we're hitting on stream make sense. Maybe not immediately obvious, but some sense applies. Yes, reload, it's fine. Okay, so we need to tick our game day. So we are now on the 4th. We're already 10 years into the future since we started this stream. Crazy. Okay. So now we should still get some error messages from our bots complaining about the location being over capacity and all that sort of thing. But we should get some posting happening first. That's a big should. One of the things I'm a little fuzzy on, I admit, is right now we've got the job queue firing. It is launching the heartbeat, and we have events listening for that heartbeat. Does that make this stay in process until all the events are done? And I'm thinking it does. So we'll know for sure when the duration of this in process ends up being a minute or few long because of all the posting to do. Okay, so we updated our inventory basic to do a bunch of shipping. So theoretically, some shipping should be going out the door if the bots are healthy and behaving. We don't, however, have our sales bot here doing the same posting logic that we gave the purchasing bots to get things out the door from a purchase, from a sales perspective. So that the customer actually pays us. And we've got our payment method set up that once it's posted, it just immediately hits the cash account, so we're no issues there. But we don't have, well, we don't even have a posting function here, so okay. So real simple, we are going to steal our post PO out here to Notepad again. While we're waiting for things in the background, I'm going to check on it in a second to see if we have any errors. And in which case, there we go. And in this case, we are going to ship false. There we go. And we learned that the sales side does not have the dot. Okay, sure. Okay, so now we've got a little post routine. It claims to be ready. Now, how much do we want to believe of that? Okay, so we did get errors on the 3rd here for those purchasing bots complaining about capacity shortages, and those are error types to the player, not to the system. administrator, so that's good. Now, if we go look at our purchase orders, what I want to see is no released ones. And real easy right off the bat, we can see we've still got a released one. Huh. I wonder what's going on with that. Let's not grab the first one, but let's grab this one and see, can we post it? Is there an issue with posting? Let's make certain that we're all okay there. So here we have the goods are all received. If we say just invoice, is there any technical reason that posting would fail? I don't think there is. No? Okay, so that's all peachy keen. The only other thing I could possibly think of is that because we are doing the error catching inside of a code unit, that maybe that commit is still somehow getting rolled back because the code unit's returning an error message and therefore returning false. Maybe. I mean, it would be a little terrifying to me, like if I'm expecting this commit to, do the job. So if it is not doing the job, what? So that's the only thing I can think of, is that maybe the functionality shouldn't be hooked into the bot engine, because we're just doing tidy up. There's no control or handling over the posting process failing. Since that's not behaving in the way I would expect, there's no reason not to move this out of the bots, and that way we're in a simpler framework. So let's do a new code unit that'll be just our player document posting. We'll just call it doc posting, just for clarity's sake. And there we are. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to move the actual posting functionality. We're going to move this entirely out of the bots. We don't need it to be there. It just was a logical place for it to live. Well, if it's logical but equal to another one that is less complicated, let's do it. So we started to create the sales order side, and it was not cooperating, so that's fine. We'll drop that over there, and we will create a trigger for onRun. It doesn't need to be for anything in particular. Now we will just grab our chunk of code that is posting the purchase documents. Eventually we're going to potentially have more like movements and things like that maybe we might want automated, unrelated to the bot engine, perhaps. There could be some legitimate reasons for that, so let's do this. That's fine. Yeah, okay. We've pulled that posting logic entirely out of the purchasing bot, simplifying that a little bit. We hadn't even finished writing it in the sales side, so we'll skip that for now. Just fixing up my white space there. Okay, and we'll do the same for sales header in the same code unit. Now we'll just create a new code unit that gets called as part of the player job queue. So our list of things that need to happen in the setup will slightly increase because we do need some job queue entries for players, which we already knew, but that's fine. Purchase becomes sales, and perch becomes sales as well. Great. And we'll copy that, and I did see that this is calling post PO, which is wrong. We want to copy. We want to do post sales order. The downside to passing just a number is that we didn't get an error from calling post-PO with a sales order number. So sometimes there's additional quality in passing things around as a variable instead. Okay, well, there we go. We have a teeny tiny little code unit that just does player document posting. And if something goes wrong with the job queue, well, that's a whole nother story. So let's save this, and we will publish, and we'll go create a player job queue for 8824. Can't believe we're up to 24 code units. Ooh. It's a little crazy. Yep, still building the metadata for that. Perfectly reasonable. Okay, job queue entry. Now, one of the things that, the way I handled this in previous ones is we had the player heartbeat listener code unit, and we tied the code unit to the heartbeat event. And that way everything happened each day, game day, automatically, and the master schedule was controlled by the game setup, and whatever we did to that game setup. So I'm inclined to still do that, actually. Let's do it. Real quick, we are going to grab our event stamp for the power posting code unit, because it worked pretty much the same general concept, so it's another posting code unit. So let's be consistent with ourselves instead of changing day to day. Post old docs is the new name for this procedure. There we go. That makes more sense. And that way there's still just the one job queue entry. And we're being consistent without being stupid. Yep. Yeah, that's fine. That seems good. And that way this runs every game day, whether your game day is set every 15 minutes, every 4 hours, or every 2 minutes. Doesn't matter. This will do its best to keep up. Okay, and our publish will be done in just a second. Tick, tick, tick. There we go. Alright, now go back to our friendly little game setup and tick that game day up so our job queue will trip. And we had the error because of it was probably running while publishing. And now in process. Good. It would not surprise me at all if this ends up like hitting some sort of posting error and then goes into an error state about a posting problem. So we'll see. Okay. I mean, that is a correct error, but we shouldn't be... I wonder... That's an odd error message to be getting through this posting routine. Want to bet that our location capacity monitoring event handler is tripping incorrectly on that one. I bet it is. Because here we're doing an on purchase post after on test purchase line. We aren't validating at all to see are we actually receiving. So the thing about this is we are accepting the purchase header. If purchase header dot receive, because these are fields on the record, but they're kind of parameters to a posting code unit. So we've got whether or not we're trying to receive. If we are not trying to receive. I bet you that was the issue with the earlier attempts when we were trying to work with things. I was expecting the location warnings from our purchasing bots, and we technically still got the location warnings from our purchasing bots, but it's probably just we're not thinking things through correctly. So that makes some sense. And done. Okay, great. We'll set this to ready. Hopefully that should make it tick up in just a moment without adjusting the game date, because it errored out previously. And that's easy enough for us to check. My settings, work date is 2/3, which is wrong actually. That only gets updated, I think, when we log in. Current game date, game 5. Okay, so yeah, let's tick it. Okay, so that was an interesting catch. I mean, we arguably could have others. If we were working in a production environment, by the way, this is looking at purchase line, purchase post, and now it's only caring about whether or not we're receiving or not. This actually could be tripping to, I believe, if we were doing a purchase return, and this would not let us ship things out of a purchase return with the way that that's written, I think, because we don't do a quantity check to see that it's greater than 0 coming into the inventory. So something to think about. There are a bunch of shortcuts that we are being able to take because the users aren't going to be entering information. We don't have to validate a lot of the potential errors that a creative user can trip up and that sort of thing. And now I'm seeing that in process hang for a while, and that's what I've been kind of expecting this whole time, because we have a lot of purchase documents that should have been posted over the past, well, few weeks. So that should take a while. Good. Alright, well, while that takes a little while, let's see. We were also going to look at bot buying, which is its own little mess. So if we swing over and we look at our bot list, I was going to say this system might also chug on us a little bit, which could be a problem of its own. For starters, we've still got our action buried, so that's bonkers, so we should fix that. And then when we get into, say, for example, sales, we don't have any handling by which we charge the player any money. We don't have any handling in place for charging potentially items, and we don't have anything in place here to handle that bot being assigned to something. I think that's the case across the board, so we should fix that. There's a little bit of challenge around the idea that I don't think we'll take this on anytime soon. Where I'm at as a player, I haven't researched advanced inventory assembly or manufacturing. So one of the things that we will have to look for is if they select these items, we're going to need to potentially throw an error and say, hey, you haven't researched that yet. Because this is an option list that we're presenting, we can't, and we're just pulling it straight from the enum, we can't really control reducing this list to only the tech that they've unlocked. So we will have to kind of error handle it instead. So let's close out of that. And out of curiosity, did the job queue finish? Error. It finished. Okay, I'm dying to know. Do we have a nice tidy purchase order situation now? Ooh, yep, we sure do. Okay, that's cool. Hey, do we have our logistics bot by any chance, have you... you've shipped! Alright. We have ourselves a shipping bot. Nice. Okay. And when we take over the game date, we should end up with some sales being posted to our sales account and all that fun stuff as well. Oh, let's go take a quick look at our chart of accounts. Sorry, I'm just excited. We haven't really had this situation for a little bit here yet. I still have my inventory account pointed a little wrong in this company. I think I've updated it in one of the other companies, but not here yet. The value of the stock should be in this account. This is the value of locations, because players can potentially sell locations. But yeah, we have some costs of good. We have some operating expenses from the power. That makes sense. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense so far. I'm guessing that we probably don't have our vendors in this company set up correctly to use the cash payment option right out the bat, because that is a pretty big accounts payable. So let's go check vendors. The system is not a happy bunny. Okay. So, in our posting, yeah, we don't have the payment method set to cash on this. I think I've still got myself set to player, so I can't edit that right this second. Okay, but yes, so some of our vendors are not getting set to the payment method code that makes the accounts payable not inflate for that time period. They should be just coming up automatically. I wonder if that's true for our customers as well. Real quick, just going to check that, and then I'm going to take the game date because I want to see some sales revenue happening. This should also help us test some market price fluctuations now, because each day we're shipping out and receiving. Okay, on the customer side we've got auto pay correctly set, but not on the vendor side. Cool. Alright. This should help us test our market pricing, because now we're actually going to have some trading volume for some of the different items that are in the system. So that's gonna be good. We couldn't test some of the things until we started actually seeing some trading volume. Okay, so that's all good stuff. We have used a good chunk of our time for the day, unfortunately. Let's see what we can fit back in here. Okay, well, we do see some sales. And that is all these sales orders have been ticking along. That's at least from somewhere in the neighborhood of the right timeline. Is that just 6,000? I know it was close to that. I don't know. Okay. Okay, good. Alright, so let's swing back to, we've got our bot purchase page, which currently is a wizard-based approach, and we have different groups. For those of you who didn't join us in some of the early episodes, oh man, yeah, episode 4. Okay. For some of our early episodes, we created that wizard, and we did that via the groups, and we basically just control the visibility of the group depending on which step we're on, which is a funky way to do it, but that's actually the right way to do it. So to move forward with making the purchasing work correctly, we need to add a bunch of logic around the material check, which is going to check not only prices, but also any bot requirements, prerequisite type things, which I believe is coming from... I don't recall exactly. It should be our bot templates, but I don't think we have a subsidiary table to say the requirements for a bot. Okay, we'll have to think about that. But then on the assignment step, we have a much simpler thing, that if there is an assignment type for a given bot type, we just need to show that that is that sort. Okay. I'm just looking at what we actually wrote here, so... Okay, so we have some conditional logic about moving between the different pages to drive how we're handling things. So for example, when we look at our bot list and we go to our by bot, so if we look at research, for example, here we get the required resources, and then we skip over to step 4. Step 3 is the assignment page, and we don't need it unless it's a sales purchasing. And in this case, we do actually need that for also which bot type of inventory advanced and basic. We will probably also need it for assembly and manufacturing, but we'll think about that later because that's at least a little ways off. So is inventory advanced, to be honest, but we know that that'll still be tied to the location. So, yeah, okay. And, this is as simple. I thought we were pulling from source tables company information. Oh, that's right. Okay. So at this stage of the game, the assignment step, we're not tied to a bot instance record yet. At this stage, the player hasn't clicked OK to anything, we haven't executed on anything, so we don't have the nice convenience of just binding the assignment step the same way that we don't have the ability to just rely on the fact that we made this really nice table relation down here. But we can trick it up a little bit. And the way I'm going to do that is when we open page, I am going to create a little temp bot instance, which is going to be a record of BCS bot instance temporary. Now what I don't know for sure is I don't remember on the bot instance table if I did anything that triggers on insert or events around that, so hopefully I haven't. It's been a lot of episodes since we've done that, so I guess we'll find out. So what we're going to do is when we open the page is we are going to do a temp bot instance.init, get that nice and ready, and then on our first page, way up here, our bot step 1, when we validate that type, we will also validate on our temp bot instance. We don't actually need to validate, just bot type is equal to the which bot type. And now we can take advantage of that by saying field assignment is tied to temp bot instance dot assignment code. That should be good. And application area all, as always. And we definitely need a caption for this assignment code, because we are binding to a separate record from the record we're on, which is a little unusual in Pages, but not unheard of. For editing's sake, it's a little funky. So now once this publish goes through, of course, let's cancel out of view. We should get an error. Yep, we gotta restart, man. Yep, we know. We should have our nice, easy drill down logic the same way we would at... Thanks. There we go. Real soon, roll center, man. It's just, every time I look at this stream, I look at the roll center and go, man, we need to make a real one. Okay, so now if we go to sales, what gives, right? There's no, when you bind to a field that is on the table that you're on, you can do this, and it'll go ahead and let you bind to it, no problem. However, it does not do anything spiffy about table relation checking at all. And I was hoping that it would. It didn't in earlier versions, but you know, hey, part of this is learning what BC will and won't do. So it doesn't do us any good to bind to that temp record. The only thing that we could potentially do there is, you know, go, all right, well, I really feel like it should. I think that this is a design flaw, that we can bind to an underlying field on a record that has table relations and validate true, and yet we don't get any of the links. We can enter garbage in here and it just lets us. So that is irritating and unfortunate, but what we can do then is we can I believe set the table relation on the field itself, and instead we will say which bot type. We can't. Bonkers. Check that out. Reference which bot type, which is our global variable in application object. Company information doesn't exist, because after all, I bound this page just to the company information to have something to work with, because I don't think we actually use any references to the company information. It just, we needed it bound to something. Bonkers. Okay. Well, so since we can't do that, what should we do? We always try different stuff, but that's obviously not working. So in our buybot function here, which I am going to promote real quick because this is driving me bonkers. There we go. Sure. Okay. When we call this, we're calling the page run modal. This gives us very limited control over what we can do with that page. We just basically hand off control to the system and say, hey, you know what, do me a favor, pop this page. And that's the end of it. And then when we are finished and we execute on this, then the page is closed and we're all done. That's the end of everything. Okay. I don't know that I really want to do that this way. I'm thinking that it might be better I guess before I dive into changing that strategy, why are we bound to the source table company information? And it might just be that, when we wrote this so many episodes ago, the underlying infrastructure wasn't there for us to work with. So let's do this. We're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to bind to the bot instance and see if anything blows up. Nothing does. And we're also going to bind to source table temporary. Now what's interesting about this is by doing the source table to this bot instance, I think we could now drop our which bot type, which is going to blow up a whole bunch of things. We also can drop this temp bot instance here because now that's effectively rec. So now we got a bajillion problems. But which bot type simply enough just became rec.bot type. Weep. And there goes most of our problems. And now temp bot instance is rec. There we go. And now, because we're bound to the record, I bet you we get a nice and simple lookup, we get validation, all that happy fun stuff. So we can still bind to a temporary record, and that's fine. Pages can run off of temporary stuff. I'll do it all the time. Oh. My coworkers would probably say I use too many temporary tables, as a matter of fact. Which has an interesting side note while we wait for this to publish. Anytime you're dealing with temporary records, on the SQL side, that is using the temp DB to record some of that information, and temp DB does not get backed up, all that sort of stuff, but you can absolutely throw tempdb on a SQL server onto a commercial grade SSD, and let me tell you, you will see your system cruise along comparatively once you've done that. Alright, so by bot. That's interesting. Why are we in... What has happened? Oh, you know what? Okay, we changed the underlying bindings, and when we are opening up this page, we are bound to a temporary table, and guess what that temporary table doesn't have? Any content whatsoever. There is no record. So it's like, hey, you can't edit this. There's no underlying record, man. That makes sense. Let's try this for giggles. When we open up the page, rec insert should work. Should. That's possibly why it was originally bound to company information. Okay, close you. System administrators made changes. That has destroyed everything. I'm an evil, evil, horrible person. Yep. Sure. There we go. Alright, so now sales. We check resources and blah. Now we get our assignments. And we get that. In a later episode, I'm going to talk about how we can do dynamic captioning based on a subsidiary type, because that's sometimes pretty helpful. Like here we're saying assignment code, and we all know what we mean, but a new player might not know what that means, so it'd be better to say, location code, for example. And see, yep, here's all the locations. So there we go. Fixed up the assignment code functionality. That's cool. Alright, let's take a look at bot templates real quick. We do have base price. Okay. Alright, cool. I'm just not sure we have a whole lot of time left for today. What I was going to start on next is building a requirements chunk of info that we would show all of the required things, whatever they happen to be. Price, cash would always be one of them, and then if anything else, and show a nice little grid of all of the required resources and what the player has or doesn't have, and then charge for that at the end based on that end result. So I guess that's what we're going to do tomorrow, because unfortunately we are out of time, as much as I hate to be done for today. So yeah, our tomorrow task is going to be, instead of fixing bot buying, because it's not broken, we are going to be adding buying costs and the requirements around that. And as part of that, we're going to start expanding the bot template system to handle the different tiers correctly, and material requirements for that. So that'll be fun. This will be a little bit more interesting of a template engine. We'll go ahead and clean this up. Day after that, I think we're going to need to swing back to role centers, because as I mentioned, it drives me bonkers that from a system administrative point of view, I have just the setup overview. I have almost nothing else. Most of the list items aren't in here, and from a player perspective, it's even worse. To be honest, I think we have the error count and the bot count, and that's it. Yeah, so that is terrible. I mean, to be honest. Can we do the... Okay, and we're going to have to fix the acknowledge functionality because it's not taking into account this player selections. So that might go on the list of things to do as a tomorrow issue, because that will drive me bonkers too. Yeah, alright. Well, I guess that's what we're going to work on tomorrow, is finishing up the bot buying, the requirements around that, get the bot tiers working so we can have different tiers and try to figure out some balances around that. And we're going to fix up role centers. I believe it is possible that tomorrow is the Biggening that happens every couple of weeks. I think. I'm always losing track of that. So it is possible. Yeah. So tomorrow I will not be streaming. However, there will be a special streaming event on Saturday. It is not going to be Biggening Corporation specific. We instead are going to spend all of our time, however long I end up spending on it, going through these 22 extensions. To go, what do they do? What difference does it make? What's the value? What should I know? Is there any settings that we should be adjusting? How do they work? Because a bunch of these, I don't know what they do. And all of these people are doing a fantastic job of building great functionality into Visual Studio Code. It deserves some respect, some time, some love, some appreciation. So we'll stream that this weekend, and that'll eventually make its way to more official kind of walkthrough videos for each one on my YouTube channel as well. So I guess with the unfortunate realization that it is Thursday and tomorrow is a non-streaming day, I will see you all on either Saturday or Monday, depending on what your preferences are. So thank you all for watching, and it's been fun. We're getting close. Recap is also going to go up this weekend for people wanting to catch up. So take care, everyone. Bye-bye.